manifest XML file. What manifest XML file is, we have to discuss that. The ninth module is basically about source code analysis, static source code analysis, how we could do it, what is code obfuscation. Okay, and then we have dynamic security analysis, in which we'll be seeing what is bug suit, what is Dozer, okay, how to test application in runtime, during the runtime. Okay, so in module 11, basically we will be starting with vulnerabilities. Okay, and in 12 also there is vulnerability, 13 also. And the module 14 is basically about the pen testing report, Android application pen testing report, how to make a report. Okay, so after this training you will be given an application to test. Okay, so I will be telling you at the last session. Okay, when we will be doing the module 14, I will be telling you about the project. So basically an application will be given to you, in which you have to basically find vulnerabilities and you have to make a proper report. Okay, so that's for another day. So let us start with the first module, which is introduction. Okay, so before going to the introduction part, can anyone tell me what is Android OS? Let me give you the mic permission, just a minute. Okay, what is Android OS, guys?
Uh, Excuse me, sir. Can I tell?
Yeah, anyone, just go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Android OS is basically open source operating system, which is there for our Android-based phones.
Okay, so basically Android OS is a type of operating system that runs on our smartphone, tablets, and smartwatches, right? So basically it runs on smartphone, or we could say tablet. Okay, basically Android OS was launched in 2008. Okay, so it was launched in 2008 and it is open source. Now what do you mean by open source? Is basically you could simply LAU, okay, LAU, and sorry, okay, so it was launched in 2008. It is open source. What do I mean by open source? Is basically anyone could go to Android source code website and they could basically use that to make their own Android version and they could distribute it. Okay, so you don't have to pay anything. So that is open source. You could simply go to this URL. You could use this source code to make your own Android version. Okay, so anyone could make their own Android version. You don't have to pay a single penny. The next thing is basically our Android OS is basically built on the top of Linux. Okay, so when I say it is built on the top of Linux, what do I mean? So as many of you know, in Linux we have separate UID and PID. Before that, what is PID and UID? Anyone? Can you tell me what is PID and UID?
Process ID.
User ID.
Okay, so UID stands for user ID. Okay, and PID stands for process ID. Okay, so as many of you know that in Linux we have separate UID, which means user ID for each user, and process ID for each process, right? Similar to that, our Android also has separate UID and separate PID, right? So in our Android, we could have separate different types of users, as well as we have different process ID for each processes that is running in the background. Am I clear, guys? Okay. Now, what are the frameworks for Android pen testing? What are the framework for Android pen testing? So basically, we have two main framework for Android pen testing. But first one is OAPS. Okay, so the first one is OAPS Top 10. Okay, so this is the first framework. So OAPS Top 10 for mobile is the first framework that we could use. Okay, the second one is NIST. So I will be discussing this in the upcoming sessions. Okay, and we'll be seeing what OAPS Top 10 is in practical also. So if you will just go to Google and you will type OAPS Top 10, you will be getting this first URL. Open this and give a read. Okay, so just read it. We'll be discussing this in the upcoming sessions. Okay. Similar to OAPS, there is NIST also. You could select anyone. So the best one in industry is OAPS Top 10. It is used a lot. Okay. Now, the next thing is, what is pen testing? Can anyone tell me the difference between pen testing and bug bounty? Difference between pen testing and bug bounty? Anyone? Guys, what is the difference between pen testing and bug bounty? Open your mic and let me know.
Pen testing is basically based on the condition that we are testing for some vulnerabilities, while bugs are basically something when there is some error in the code that can be used as vulnerabilities.
No, both. No, no. In both cases, we find vulnerabilities, right? That is not the case. No. Okay, no problem. Let me explain you. So when I say pen testing, in pen testing also we found vulnerabilities as well as in bug bounty we also find vulnerabilities, right? But the major difference is that when we are doing pen testing, okay, we have to keep in mind that we have to perform threat modeling. Now this is very important because in interviews this type of questions are asked. Okay, so what is pen testing? So first of all, you have to say in pen testing we follow threat modeling. Now what is threat modeling? In threat modeling we basically see what is risk. Okay, we cover threat and we cover vulnerability. So when we are talking about this pen testing, in pen testing, basically we see three things. Okay. So in pen testing, we do threat modeling, and in threat modeling, we have risks, threats, and vulnerability. Okay. So this is pen testing. So in simple terms, let me tell you, in pen testing, we make the application end-to-end secure. Okay, end-to-end secure. When I say end-to-end secure, we find every single vulnerability that is present in the Android app or the website. Okay. So for example, I'm having an application Amazon, and I'm given a project. Okay, I'm given to test this application, and when I'm doing as a pen testing, I'm basically finding every single vulnerability from informational severity to high severity to critical. Okay, I'm doing everything. I'm basically following a checklist. Okay, and I'm doing that, and the checklist is according to, for example, OAS. Okay, so this is what I do in pen testing. Basically, I'm making the application end-to-end secure. I'm even finding a basic vulnerability. Okay, but in bug bounty, what we do? In bug bounty, what we do? We basically go to some bug bounty platforms such as Bugcrowd. Okay, we go to Bugcrowd, or we could say HackerOne, or we basically go to some websites, VDPA. Okay, sorry, we go to some responsible disclosure program, and we basically go to a website. We find some types of vulnerability, we report it, and we get paid for that. For example, I'm going to abc.com. Okay, I'm finding some vulnerability. For example, I'm finding SSRF. Okay, and I'm getting paid for that. So what I'm doing in bug bounty, I'm basically finding some specific type of vulnerabilities that will get me paid. Okay. So in bug bounty, we do not do threat modeling. We do not make the application end-to-end secure, right? In pen testing, there is an application, we are making that application end-to-end secure. Basically, we are finding every single vulnerability that is present. But in bug bounty, we are basically reporting some specific vulnerabilities. Okay. And once we report that vulnerability, if that is correct, we will be getting paid. Clear, guys? So this is the major difference between pen testing and bug bounty. Guys, let me know. Okay. So let me start the next topic. Now, attack surface. What is attack surface? Can anyone tell me? Okay. So basically, attack surface means there is an application. Okay, this is the application. Let me give you an example of Amazon only. So just an example. Okay. So there is Amazon. Now what is happening? Amazon app. I'm going to Amazon app. I'm basically, you could say, I'm testing the application. Okay. When I'm testing the application, I found a vulnerability such as RC. Okay. I found a vulnerability in Amazon app, which is RC, remote code execution. Okay. Don't worry if you don't know what RC is. Okay. We are not going into that. Right now, just I'm giving you an example. So I'm going to Amazon app. I'm basically finding a vulnerability, which is RC. And with the RC, I'm basically able to gain access to the system, internal system. Okay. Now, how I am able to gain this internal access? With the help of this RC, right? So we could simply say that identifying the entry point of an application is known as attack surface. So this is the entry point from where we are able to gain access to the app, right? If you're not having this vulnerability, I will be not able to gain access, right? So attack surface is basically identifying the entry point of an application from where a attacker could basically get or gain access to your system, or he could hack, right? So identifying the entry points of an application, okay, from where a malicious user or an attacker could get into the system okay, or the app. Okay, so basically, attack surface identifying the entry points of an application from a malicious from where a malicious user or an attacker could get into the system or the application, right? So this is the example I have given you. Now in attack surface, we have three types of attack surface. Three types of attack surface. Now, the first type of attack surface is client side. Okay, client side attack surface. The second one is server side attack surface. And the last one is logical issues, or we could say business, right? Now, can anyone tell me, does anyone has any idea what three types of attack surface is? No problem. So we have three types of attack surface. First one is client side. So let me discuss. So basically client side attack surface, this a type of basically these are the vulnerabilities. We could simply say these are the vulnerabilities or issues which are affecting the end user of the particular application. Now, when I'm saying the end user, for example, you are using the app, you are going to Flipkart, and basically you are creating an account, you are logging in, and then you are basically doing whatever you want. Okay, you are shopping or anything, right? Now, when I'm saying these are the types of vulnerability or issues which are affecting the end user of a particular app, which means that all the vulnerabilities are only on the client side. For example, let me give you an example. So I'm going to Flipkart. Okay, then I'm going to the login page. I'm entering my email. Sorry, I'm entering my email and password, credentials. Okay, then what I'm doing after this, if I am entering my email and password correct, then I'm logged in. Okay, I'm logged in. Now, what is happening after this process? If any vulnerabilities arises, if any type of vulnerability is arising, so that is client-side vulnerability, such as we could say cookie stealing, if that is happening, okay, or session fixation. So this type of vulnerabilities comes under this client side because it is affecting the client, right? So when I say client side, so client side attack surface is basically the types of vulnerabilities or issues which are affecting the end user of a particular application. End user means we, okay? We are the users that are using that application. So this are the vulnerabilities or the issues which are affecting, sorry, affecting the end user of a particular application. Am I clear, everyone? Okay, so this is client side attack surface. Now, server side attack surface. So basically, these are the vulnerabilities or issues which are occurred at the runtime of the application, right? So these are basically the types of vulnerabilities which are occurring at the runtime of the application. What I mean runtime, when we are using that application, simply the server side. Okay, so in the server side, which it simply means that the vulnerabilities that is arising at the server. Okay, so for example, SQL injection. Okay, can anyone give an example of server side vulnerabilities? Yeah, RCE, SSRF, correct. So server side basically,
Sir, XSRF.
yeah, correct. Okay, so server side attack surface is basically the vulnerabilities that are occurred at the runtime of the application, right? So these are the vulnerabilities or the issues which occurs at the runtime of the application. Okay. Now the last one is logical issues, or simply we could say business issues. Now what this is, so basically the vulnerabilities or the issues which are affecting the business logic of a application is known as business logic attack surface or logical issue attack surface. Now for an example, let me give you an example. You are going to Amazon, right? There is discount coupon that you could use in Amazon, okay, only one time. So there is a coupon, okay, there is a coupon that a user can only use for one time per user. So you are going to Amazon, okay, you are going to Amazon, you are having a discount coupon, which could be only used one time per user. Okay, but if you are able to use this more than one time, if you are able to use more than one time, okay, sorry guys, just 1 minute. Okay, so what was the example? Let me repeat. So you are going to Amazon, you are having one coupon, and that coupon could only be used one time per user. Okay, and if you are able to use more than one time, what is happening? It is basically affecting the business, right? We should not be able to use that discount coupon more than one time. For example, I'm using a coupon which is giving me 250 off on a product. Okay, so if I'm able to use this multiple times, I should not be able to just mute yourself out. Okay. So if I'm able to use this coupon more than one time, this I should not be able to do, right? But if I'm able to do this more than one time, so that is a logical issue or a business issue because it is affecting the business, right? So basically this are the issues or vulnerabilities which are affecting the business logic of an application. Am I clear, guys? Okay, so basically these are the vulnerabilities which are affecting the business logic of an application. Okay, so basically we are, with the help of these vulnerabilities, we could basically exploit the business. Okay, so this was about attack surface. It's very important because when you are giving interviews, this type of questions are there a lot. Okay, when I'm also taking an interview, I basically ask this type of questions. Okay, because this type of questions are unique. Okay, now the second thing, what is, okay, let us set the environment first. Okay, let us go back to the syllabus. Okay, so we have done the module 2. Now the next module is basically lab environment setup. So we have to set up a lab, okay, for testing. So what do we have to do? First of all, okay, so for lab environment, what we have to do, we need two things. Okay, for lab we need two things. First one is emulator or a physical device, but we'll be using emulator. Okay, the second one is ADB. Now emulator. So for emulator, you could simply use Genymotion. Okay, you could use Genymotion, or you could use Android Studio. You could use anyone. Okay, you could either use Android Studio or you could use Genymotion. I will be using Genymotion. Okay, but you could use Android Studio if you wish, but I will be going with Genymotion only. Okay, and for ADB, second one we'll be using AppP framework. Okay, we'll be using AppP. I have shared that link also. So let us go to this URL, Genymotion. Okay, so you have to go to this URL. Now we are having two things. Okay, we are having two options to install. The first one is if you are not having the virtual box. So this is not have, basically if you are already having the virtual box, like me, if you will see, I'm already having the virtual box, right? You could see I'm already having the virtual box, right? I'm already having the virtual box. So if you have virtual box already in your system, you have to install this one. Okay, if you're not having the virtual box, you have to install this one. If you don't have, you have to install this one. If you have, you have to install one. Okay, so this is how you have to download Genymotion. Once you have downloaded it, you just have to click next. Okay, I'm already having this, so I'm not showing the installation. It is very easy. Okay, so once installation is done, that's all. So this is about the emulator. Okay, so for emulator, we'll be using Genymotion. Okay. Okay, app link is not working correctly. Okay, what you could do if that is not working, you simply go to and you could search for app download. Okay, you could simply search for app download. This is the first URL. You have to click on this. Okay, then you have to go to download. Okay, click on download now. Now this is the URL from where you have to download. Now I will suggest you to download the version 3.2. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so you have to download this version 3.2.exe. Okay, you don't have to download 3.1 version MSI. You have to download version 3.2. Okay, I will be sharing this link. So you have to download this version. Okay, so for that you have to download this. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so For FP, you have to disable your system because FP is having a lot of tools. Okay, so it will show that it is having virus, but you have to disable it. Then you have to install FP. Okay. Okay, so we'll be needing two things. First of all, it is emulator. Okay, then the second thing is ADB. Okay, for emulator, we'll be using Genymotion or Android Studio. You could prefer anyone. I will be using Genymotion. Then you have to install FP. Okay, sir, FP has some virus. Disable your Windows security or your antivirus. This is the link. I will be sharing this link. Already shared on the group. Okay, Genymotion. You have to go to this URL and you have to download it. Okay, now there are plenty of Android OS also that we could use for Android pen testing, such as Santugo. Okay, such as Santugo. We have Mobile Lecture also. Okay, but we'll be not using an OS. Okay, we'll be going with this FP only. Okay, before that, what is FP? So you could go to their website and you could know what FP is. Android is basically a Android pen testing environment. Okay, in this you will be having a lot of tools. Sir, how is Kali Linux for pen testing? It is very great. You could go with Kali or you could go with Parrot. Okay. Right now we are not discussing that. So FP is basically a pen testing environment for Android apps. Okay. So it has a lot of tools inbuilt. Okay. You could see we are having a lot of tools. We'll be learning these tools also. Okay. So we have to download this. Okay. So this is Android OS. We have different types of Android OS that you could use. If you want, you could use them, but we'll be not covering them because we'll be going with this. We'll be going with FP. Okay. So this is the Santiago Android OS which we could use for Android pen testing. Okay. If you want, you could download this. FP can be used only on Windows. Okay. You could only use FP on Windows. Disable if you are facing any problem while downloading, just disable your antivirus, okay, or your Windows security. Guys, let me first discuss the topic, okay, then ask your questions. Okay, stop the questions. Okay, let me first discuss everything, then you could ask your questions. Okay, now, so for Android lab environment, first of all we need emulator, then we need FP. Okay, now let us see. So once you download your Genymotion and you install it, you have to open it. So right now, guys, once you install it, you will be not having any Android device. Okay, you will be only having a blank white screen. Okay, but in my case, I'm already having these three things. Okay, I'm already having three devices. And if you go to my virtual box, you will see one thing. All these three devices are in my virtual box also. Okay, so you don't have to. There is a lot of like when new guys are starting in Android pen testing and they are using Genymotion, they have a question: cell, do we have to create device from VirtualBox? Okay, no, you don't have to use VirtualBox. Once you create device from Genymotion, it will automatically add it on your VirtualBox. Okay, so you have to just click on this plus button for creating an Android device. Okay, you have to click on this plus button. Okay, and you can select any device. So I'm just selecting custom phone. Once you select this, you have to click on next. You have to give a name. So I'm giving Intensor 2. Okay. You have to select your Android version. I'm going with Android 6. Okay. You could select anyone, but I will be going with Android 6 only. Okay. Now I have to click next. Now you have to give processor according to your system. Okay. Minimum you have to give 2. Okay. I'm giving, let me give 6. Okay. And let me give memory 400 MB. Okay. You don't have to change this VM heap size. Let it be. Click on next. Now do not make any changes. Click on next. Click on next, and you have to select the network mode as NAT. Okay, and install. So if you will see, we are not right now. We are not having this Intensip 2, right? But once we install this in our Genymotion, you will automatically see there is a device known as Intensip 2. Now you don't have to you don't have to open this device from VirtualBox. Okay, you don't have to click on start. Do not do that. Okay. If you want, what you have to do, if you want to start this device, just click on this, double click, and the device will open. Okay, so you don't have to do anything with VM. All the process, for example, this device is starting, right? So all the process is being done at the back with the help of this VirtualBox. If you will see, our device is booting, right? You could see all the things in this preview, but we do not have to do anything with this VirtualBox. Okay, so this is the Genymotion. Okay, so this is the animation. Till that time, what you have to do, you have to download the appy, guys. If you are saying you are facing problem in appy downloading, let me tell you one thing. You have to go to this URL. Okay, you have to select this 3.2 version. Before that, you have to disable your Windows security. Okay, or your antivirus, whichever thing you are using. So you have to go to your Windows security, virus threat and protection, manage settings. You have to turn this off. Okay, and then you have to click on this one. Okay, it will start a download. If it is not starting automatically, you have to click on this download button. Okay, so let us wait. So as you can see, I'm having my Android device. Okay, this is the Android device that we'll be using for testing. Okay, so let me click on download. It is not starting. Okay, so the download has started, right? You can see the download has started. Okay, so we have to wait. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Okay, so you have to click on download and it will start to download. Okay, right now I'm just canceling this because I'm already having this. Once you download this file, you have to simply run it. Okay, and once you run it, you just have to click next, next, next. Once you have successfully completed that installation part, okay, you have to come to this C drive. Do not change the path while installing the appy. When you are installing the appy, do not change the path. Okay, do not change the path. Let it be C drive only. So once you have successfully completed that, you have to come to your C drive. Okay, you have to come to your C drive. You have to go to your appy. Okay, so once you have installed, you will be having this. Okay, so now we have to open our appy. Okay, so you have to double click on this appy. Okay, and we have to click on yes. Just a minute. Okay, so you can see we are having our appy. Okay, and all the commands are similar to our Linux. So it will, for example, I'm typing ls, so it is listing. Okay, if I'm basically typing cd, it will perform cd change directory, right? So commands are similar to our Linux. Okay, so we'll be using this appy. So now what we have to do, let me discuss one topic. Okay, which is ADB. What is ADB? We'll be discussing this in upcoming session also. ADB stands for Android Debug Bridge. Okay, what this ADB means is basically, now with the help of this ADB, we could communicate with our Android device. For example, this is the Android device, right? We have to communicate. So how we could communicate with this Android device? So for that thing, we have ADB. So with the help of ADB, we could simply communicate with our Android device, right? So for example, if I want to install an application with ADB, I could simply do that. Okay. So how to set up ADB? So first of all, you have to go to your Genymotion. Okay. In Genymotion, you have to click on this Genymotion logo. Everyone, you have to click on this Genymotion logo. Go to settings. Go to the fourth option, which is ADB. Now, by default, it will be this use Genymotion Android tool, but you have to click on use custom Android SDK tools. So for that, what you have to do, you have to go to your C drive. Okay, you have to go to your C drive, then go to appy, then go to your build folder, then go to ATD, then go to your SDK, and then platform tools. I am giving this path. Okay, so you have to perform this. Sorry, so you have to perform this. This is the path. What you have to do, copy this path. Okay, you have to copy this path. You have to go to your this settings and you have to paste it. Once you paste it, it will give you a tick if that folder is valid. Now, how it will tell you if that is valid or not? It should contain this ADB. Okay, it should contain this ADB. And what is ADB? I have told you, Android Debug Bridge. It is basically helping us to communicate with our Android device. Okay, so this is how we have to do it, right? Am I clear, guys? Now, how I'm able to communicate, I will be telling the commands, do not worry. For example, if I know, I want to know which devices are connected. So if I type ADB devices, it will tell me that this is the device. Okay, so this is the device IP. You can see this is the device IP and it is able to tell me. So with the help of ADB, we could communicate with that device. Do not worry, I will be discussing this in the upcoming sessions. Okay, so this is how we have to set up our ADB. And once you have connected successfully, you have to type this command ADB devices. Am I clear, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Devices. Okay. Now, guys, if you are having doubts, just let me know. I'm opening the chat. Okay. If you're having any doubts till here, let me know. Okay. Yeah, you will get the recording. Okay. Now, once we have done this, right? Now, by default, our Genymotion is not having, if you could not able to see Play Store, right? If you will see, we are not having the Play Store, right? So for that, we have to install OpenGApps. So when we install our Android device in Genymotion, by default, we'll be not having any Google packages such as Google Play Store or anything, right? So for that, we have to install OpenGApps. Okay. So we have to install OpenGApps. Okay. We have to install OpenGApps to download Google packages, right? So to download Google package, okay, such as Play Store, right? So for that, what you could do, you could simply go to this website, type OpenGApps. Okay, you have to go to OpenGApps website. You would simply download from here only. Okay, you have to select your architecture as 68. Okay, you have to select your Android version, whichever version you are using. So in my scenario, I'm using Android 6, and you have to select Nano. Nano is basically the file with the smallest, you could say, memory space. Okay, for example, this is only about 180, but if I will select this TV stock, it is around 400 MB. It is basically for Android TVs, right? So you have to use Nano only, right? Now, what is now if you want, the second option is basically to install OpenGApps. In our Genymotion, we are having this button, if you will see, right? So that was the first way to install Genymotion, right? We download the file, we just drag and drop, and it will normally download it. It will install the Play Store in our device, right? But now, if we will click on this OpenGApps, and we will just a minute, guys. Okay, and if we will accept this, okay, it will start downloading automatically. Okay, and it will take some time. Once it has downloaded it, it will install it, and we have to restart the device. And this is important, okay, because a lot of apps we'll be using or we'll be testing, you'll have to download it, right? In future also, if you are doing projects, you are working for a company, you need Play Store, right? No, Genymotion is not like a Docker. I have told you Genymotion is an emulator. What is an emulator, guys? Can anyone tell me? Guys, what is an emulator? Anyone?
Sir, basically, emulator gives us the environment to run specific things.
Virtual devices, right? With the help of emulator, we could run virtual mobile phones, right? Virtual devices. So emulator, okay. So Genymotion is not a Docker, it is an emulator, okay, as well as Android Studio. Do not get confused. Okay, guys. Now we have to wait. Now you can see it is saying to restart, right? So we have to click on restart now, and it will restart our device. Okay. So let us go back to our Genymotion. Okay, and we have to start our device again. Okay, where is the device? Okay, it is starting the device. Till that time, let me discuss something else. So by default, when we are using Genymotion, as I have told you, Genymotion is 86 architecture. So Genymotion is having 86 architecture. So we could not use 64-bit application, right? So in order to use 64-bit applications, what we have to do, we have to use ARM translation. Now, what is ARM translation? It is basically helping us to basically convert ARM instructions native code into 64-bit application. So we could basically use this ARM translation to convert the ARM instructions into 86 native code. Okay, with this we could basically use 64-bit application. Am I clear? So you have to download this ARM translation also. You could say translator or translation, anything, right? So let me give you the URL. This is the URL. Okay, you have to select the version also. So if you're using Android 6, 7, 8, 9, so this is only available in Android 9. Okay, after that, you don't need this. Okay, so you could select the one you need if you're using any device till Android version 9. So you have to select that. Okay, so I have to click on 9 and I have to download it. Okay, I'm already having this, so I will be now downloading this. Okay, so this is the URL, you could use it. Okay, so let me give this in the notes. Okay, so this is the ARM translation. Okay, so it basically helps us to convert native 86 native into 64. Okay, 64-bit applications. So let us see our device. Okay, so this is the device, right? And now if just a minute, guys. Let me restart. Okay, so now you could see, just let me hide this. Now, if you will see, I'm having this Play Store, right, guys? And I could see once I have installed Open Gaps, I'm having Play Store. Now you could sign in your account and we could use this further. Okay, guys. So let me sign in. Just a minute. Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, now if you could see, guys, I have signed in. Okay, I'm having the Google Play Store, and now you could download the apps that you need. Okay, so this is how we have to do this. Okay, and this is all for today. Okay, so this was all for today. So let me give you a quick recap what we have done today. Okay, so first of all, we have started with Android OS. I have given you an intro. Then we moved to framework for pen testing. Okay. Then we have seen what is pen testing and bug bounty, difference between them. Then we have seen what attack surfaces and types of attack surface. Okay. Then we have seen what is the lab environment, how to set up it. Okay. And then we have seen Genymotion. We have seen ADB. Now in the upcoming session, we will be discussing ADB also in deep, so you don't have to worry. Okay, so this was all about today. Now, guys, if you're having any doubts, just let me know. Okay, yeah, you will be getting the recording. Do not worry, guys. Okay, you will be getting the recordings. Okay, recording will be shared to you within 4 to 5 hours.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, how to start bug bounties in Bugcrowd and Hackathon, sir?
You could simply create an account. Okay, now if you know web pen testing, so you could start with web application pen testing. You could start finding vulnerabilities in web applications. Okay, and if you don't know web application, you could simply start with Android. Okay, so you have to select a program and you have to start testing. Okay, but
Sir,
I will not suggest as a beginner you should go to responsible disclosures website. So let me show you. So what you have to do, you have to type responsible disclosure. Okay, so once you type this, sorry, responsible disclosure. So once you type this, what will happen? You will be able to see a lot of programs. Okay, and if you want, you could simply type this also for different types of Google Doc, bug bounty, Google Doc. Okay, so with the help of this docs, you could find a lot of bug bounty programs. Okay, you could select anyone. For example, if I need to use this one, okay, responsible disclosure bounty EU, European domains. So it will only show the European domains. Okay, and you could select anyone and you could start hunting. For Android, you have to select any domain that is having an Android application. Okay, so this is what we have to do. Okay, guys. So yeah, that's all.
Sir, but how to see fresh websites in HackerOne or Bug Bounty, sir? Sorry,
So
HackerOne or
basically,
Bug.
if you are starting as a beginner, I will not suggest you first of all to use that. There is a reason, because there is a lot of competition in bug crowd and HackerOne, right? So as a beginner, you have to start with this types of responsible disclosure program, okay, which are offering you. Okay, once you have a good grip on this, then you could move on to bug crowd or HackerOne, right? That's my suggestion. Satya, am I clear?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's all for today, guys. If you're having any doubts, let me know, or else I will be ending the session. You will be getting the notes, don't worry. So can you please show again how to add API in Genemotion? So we do not have to add the API, we have to add the ADB. We have to add the ADB path so that we could use it. Okay, so for that, what you have to do, you have to click on bin. Okay, first of all, you have to go to your Android C, then you have to go to API, then you have to go to bin. And in bin, we have to go to ADD, HDK, we have to go to platform tools, and we have to use this path. We have to copy this, we have to come back to our Genemotion. Okay, we have to go back to our Genemotion. Okay, and then we have to select this Genemotion settings. We have to go to our ADB and we have to paste it. If that path is correct, you will get this. This folder is valid. Okay. Sir, assignment. You don't have assignment. You will be having a project. So if you have submitted assignment 1 and 2, you will be getting a project, and the project will be an Android pen testing only. You will be given an application you have to test. Okay, you have to test that application. You have to make a report, and that is your final project you will be getting. Okay.
Sir, I have just downloaded the Genemotion, sir.
Okay.
It's asking for license, sir.
So you have to select personal use. You don't have to use for yeah, like only have to select personal use. Then it will not ask for the license. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And if you are using Genemotion for the first time, you have to create an account. Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, it's okay. You don't. It is not malicious to log in. Okay, it is okay to use it. So for sources for learning web pen testing, there are a lot of sources. I will be sharing with you guys if you need. Okay, there are plenty of resources, and it is very easy to learn web pen testing as compared to our Android. It is very easy to learn web pen testing, right? Okay, guys, any doubt if anyone is having?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, we can also, as Genemotion throws many errors sometimes and also doesn't load. It gets stuck, so we can use Magics along with the ADB from the Android Studio.
Yeah, you could, but I will suggest you to use Android Studio instead of that.
No, the emulator will be of the Android Studio, but for that routing purpose, we need to use that Magics, no?
Yeah, for that you have to use that. But, or you could simply use, there is one more emulator. What is the name? I'm not getting the name. There is one more emulator. You could use that. That is by default rooted. Yeah, one more thing, guys. This Genemotion is by default rooted. Okay. Yeah. What was the question, Jay?
So, sir, when we use Genemotion for a long time, then it starts stucking. The OS doesn't work and doesn't respond properly.
Yeah, that is because of your system specification, right? Because Genemotion requires a lot of system specs. Okay, so for that reason, you could use your Android Studio. It runs on small specifications. Also, if your device is having low specifications, this will run. Okay, that is not an issue. So I will suggest you to use Android Studio, and there is one more emulator. I will be sharing the name. I do not remember the name right now, but yeah.